Hey guys, in this episode we will be finishing the sketch of Peter Griffin from Family Guy that we started in episode 2. If you haven't seen that, be sure to go check it out. So this series is really all about teaching yourself how to draw, and so for that I'm just showing a bunch of different methods which work for me. And this week we're going to be filling in the details of our sketch that we've already started using the outline as reference. However, as you'll see on my YouTube, Instagram and TikTok, I usually prefer to do realism, so this cartoon sketch is slightly out of my comfort zone, but that's what I'm all about for this series. We're going out of our comfort zone and we're trying different things and teaching ourselves to draw together. If you haven't watched episodes 1 and 2, I recommend checking them out first, and let's go. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do before we begin sketching the details is I'm just going to erase the thumb here. Now, there is some erasing at the end of this video, but we will mostly focus on that in episode 4. The reason I'm doing this here is just because I don't like how it looks, but if you're doing the details after you've finished the outline, you can do the whole picture, then go back and erase, or you can erase as you go, such as what I'm doing here. There is a difficulty with doing the outline first, is as you draw some of the minor details along the way, they might not be perfect, whereas if you had begun with the details and worked your way out, stuff like this might not happen so much, but the overall proportion might be off, which is much worse because you really can't erase that. You'd be better off to start all over again. However, different methods would work better for different people, so experiment. And now coming over to begin drawing the details, we're actually going to do his left arm here, and you can see immediately that I make a point on the page by measuring where his arm should begin against the outline. So you can see it's about a third of the way down his shirt is where the collar is going to begin, and that's obviously where we're going to see his forearm. And then you can see about 2/3 of the way down his shirt is where his wrist is, and by using the outline and the proportions that we've already drawn in episode 2, we can very easily finish off these smaller details and move on to his face. I'm just going to draw his hand here. So you can see when I begin drawing his hairline, again I'm making a point on the page and measuring with the pencil against the outline of his head to get the details, which, as I've said many times, this is the method I prefer, doing the outline first, but experiment, try different things. So as I got to this point in the picture, I realised that what I'd done of his eyes and nose were grossly incorrect, and that's really because I wasn't paying attention. So when you're doing the details, you do have to be measuring them up against the outline that you've already drawn, and assuming you're happy with the outline, assuming that it looks in proportion, really the only thing left to do is concentrate best you can while you're doing the details. I was lacking in concentration, and you can see there's this massive space between his eyes, which is not in the picture that I've been copying. You can see that picture in episode 2, I showed it. So this is a situation where you're using the eraser to remove incorrect lines. As I'll cover in the next episode, you can use the eraser for a variety of things, but really this was unfortunate, and we just had to go back and redraw it several times actually before I got the proportions right. It's really about measuring it up against the outline, making sure you are starting each detail in the right place, and then you'll be able to tell once you've got it right, and if something looks off, it's probably because it is. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to show you these mistakes as I've made them, because I have been sketching for nearly 2 decades and I can't think of a single picture that I've done without an eraser. So when I came to Peter's chin here, I just assumed that the eyes and nose were drawn in proportion, In reality, I probably should have stopped, checked my source material and just made a couple of double checks. Instead, I proceeded on with the mouth and chin area, and that just caused a lot more erasing down the line and a lot more redrawing, and it's a waste of your time. So yeah, I mean, I highly recommend paying close attention as you finish each detail, because just like with the outline that we did earlier, you use that to continue drawing things in proportion. As I'm finishing up here, you'll notice that I go over the picture very lightly with the eraser. The reason for this is because I've been drawing very dark. I've been pressing the pencil very hard, and that's not recommended while you're doing this outline stage. Usually when I'm sketching, I do realistic images. You can see these on my YouTube, on my Instagram, on TikTok, and with realistic images it's kind of a little different, but with a cartoon I ideally, and I haven't followed this like I should have, but ideally you should press very lightly, because you know, lines that you've erased will still maybe marginally noticeable when you're finished. So make sure you're pressing lightly, and then if you want to do a permanent outline, something darker with a shading pencil or with a pen, you should wait until you're 100% happy with what you've drawn. Hey, thank you very much for watching. I will show the completed sketch in just a second. If this video helped, be sure to subscribe to my channel. As you would have noticed in this video, I use the eraser a lot to get the proportions right, and if you want to learn more about that, check out my next video, which is going to be about how the eraser can be used for more than just mistakes. It can actually be a tool in sketching and shading just as much as the pencil can. This series is all about teaching yourself how to draw, so I encourage you to explore creatively, and I will see you on episode 4.